Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today what we're going to be working on is these quarter panels of the car, the rear quarter panels. So the idea is when you go wide body that the rear quarter panel, there's basically two pieces of sheet metal that come together compared to your front fender. And when you go wide body, you want bigger wheels that aren't going to fit in those wheel wells that are the stock size. So you cut them and you make this big hole back there so you can fit big, meaty tires.
Fly with big, meaty claws! What did you say, punk? Big, meaty claws!
So you have those tires back there that are bigger, but you can't just leave a big hole in your rear quarter panel. So what a lot of people do is they find a way to seal it back together. The previous owner, he had already accomplished that much when I got the car, so I didn't have to cut these quarter panels. What he decided to do was, cut the top layer off, and then the underneath layer he drilled in the slots, and then he pulled the metal out, bent it back over, and then riveted it into itself. And that's what we're working with right here. So as you can see, these are the rivets, and he just pulled this metal around and just riveted it in there. And it's pretty tight and against here, and there's not a lot of holes. There's some, like a hole here, a little bit here. There's not a ton of gaps here. So it's good. It's not terrible, but then you get right here, and then this is a pretty big freaking hole. That's like, we're going back to high school sticking fingers in that thing, alright? Trying to count how many. It's a lot of fingers fit in there. So what we're going to have to do now that he's drilled these rivets in here is we're going to have to drill them out, pull these rivets out, and we're going to find a way to get this metal closer together, and we're going to weld it, put some seam sealer over it, and then do a final coat of some rubber coating to try to fully waterproof it, because we want to make sure no water gets into these quarter panels, because if they do, living in the great state of Washington, there's lots of rain, and it could get wet and rust from the inside out, and we don't want to find that out down the road. So we're going to get working on this. I'm going to look a little bit closer and see. I already worked on the other side. Definitely a learning curve. So I'm going to take some time looking at this to see if we can come up with a better idea than how I tackled the other side. So without further ado, my name's Andrew, and welcome to the night shift. Started with this gap right here that fit about 4.5 fingers in it, and now I've been using just my heat gun. If you remember the video we got this bad boy in, get him in focus there. Yeah, we've been using this bad boy and my fender roller, which is down here. This fender roller I actually got when I got the wheels for the WRX, and I tried to roll the fenders because they did rub just a little bit in the front, but I got stressed out trying to roll the fenders because the paint was coming off on the inside and it was stressing me out, so I ended up paying someone to roll the fenders for me. But now that I'm sitting here doing this, we've been able to close up this 4.5 finger gap to like a 2.5, much more modest gap, So we're gonna keep hitting it with heat and the fender roller, and we're gonna try to get this as close as we can, because right now this big open hole is kind of fucked on the body panel. That's not something you want to be driving around with. And then we're gonna drill these rivets out, and I might be able just to fender roll it smooth up there, and it'll be much easier than what I did on the other side, which we will get to at the end of the video. But you live and you learn, and this side's going to be a lot smoother than the other side, so let's get to it. Alright, so we finished up here. We got it all pulled out, and you see we have
the rivets in there we still need to get out. Then we got to clean this paint up. We got to get this metal back closer to the fender. You see the fold, that's the bottom piece. We got to move that a little bit closer to the top. Clean the paint up, and then we can start welding. So let's get to it.
So the plan is to do a small tack on each side and keep the tacks pretty spaced out, because if you do them too close to each other, the metal will get too hot and you'll start to burn through. So we're going to do one on the left side, one on the right side, and just alternate back and forth, giving them time to cool down so we can get this fully sealed up without burning through. So we're going to set a little fan up in the background, we're going to put our PPE on, and I'm going to do this welding. When I did the other side, full disclosure, it took me like 6 hours. I took little breaks and stuff, and I had my lunch in that time, but it took me a very long time. And the first night I did it, I just burnt through the metal on my first tap, and I got stressed out and quit. So I'm feeling a little bit better on this side. What you didn't see is I took a flapper disc on an angle grinder, and I grinded the paint off along the edge, because you need clean metal for the weld to stick to, otherwise it's not going to arc. I'm not a welding expert, but it needs to be metal on metal. You can't really weld through paint as far as I know, so I cleaned it up as much as I could around here, and all these wonderful holes our previous owner drilled in, we also have to cover up with our welds. So we're going to cue the montage here and get into some welding. Let's get her done. Oh, I was about to get started, but I just realized it's almost midnight and I didn't do my Duolingo yet, so we gotta wait 5 minutes. I'm going on 308 days of Spanish and I can't order at a restaurant, so. Also, before you weld the fenders fully, you're gonna wanna spray some 3M cavity wax in there, or if any other brand, 3M's pretty safe bet usually. But yeah, you're gonna spray that inside the rocker panel and stuff on the exposed metal. It's kind of filled up, just to help prevent rust in the future. The most important thing here is preventing rust on the inside by any means necessary. So that was a real good pickup. It's like 60 bucks from O'Reilly's, or you can Amazon or something. Alright, so we finished the welds and we got some seam sealer on here. It's just a clear rubber seam sealer from Home Depot, and the welds don't look great, but guess what? They are welds. So, with that being said, it's time to do the last part of this step. We have the welds done, they're closed, there's no holes. We have this seam sealer I got from Home Depot. It's just an all-purpose waterproof seam sealer. It's clear. Kind of sucked, honestly. It stuck to my fingers and gloves way better than it stuck to the metal. But that's okay, because we got one more layer that's going to be pretty good on here. That's going on next. And that is, we got this Gorilla waterproof rubber spray and rubberized sealant spray. And it's basically just going to put a thin layer of rubber all over this. If I mess it up, it'll be easy to peel off, but I'm not going to mess it up. And this is just going to fill in all the holes if I missed any, which I don't think I did. And it's just going to cover it up, protect the exposed metal, and just going to waterproof and rust proof the rest of this. So we're going to get to spraying. I already did the other side and I thought it came on a little thick. I don't have this as protected as I need. I'm going to put something right here real quick, and then we're going to get spraying. So alright, so I learned two strategies when I did the other side, because like any good person doing something for the first time, you don't record the first try on camera. So the other side's already done. I did some rubber sealant on this side and on the front, but I did a lot less on the front because I figured something out. You can basically finger paint this stuff on if you feel like it. This is a bigger space here, so I am going to spray. But when you get to these smaller sides, I'm just going to spray a little puddle on the floor and literally just wipe it up with my fingers and wipe it on here and make like a nice smooth layer so I don't have to worry about any overspray. And I let the other side dry for a few days and it looked like it worked. So I think it works and we're just going to test it out. So let's get our first little sprays in. Make sure it's not doing that everywhere. There we go. Okay. Okay, there we go. We're spraying. All right. Okay, there's that. And I wish I had more stuff to cover up down on this side. So let's see here. Oh, all right, now for just the smaller parts, we made a little puddle. Don't spray straight down with this stuff because you'll just get most of the aerosol. But we're just gonna pick this stuff up and just finger paint it into these gaps here so it's nice and clean, and make sure we're getting it on this back side everywhere we need it to be nice and rubbed in. Putting the extra attention on, you know, the spots where I had to fill in those wonderful holes we had everywhere. So that was one spray, but I think I got everything I needed to, so I'm just going to let this dry. And we're just going to move on to the front, and I'll check this back in the morning. So, see if I can turn the camera off without getting rubberizer all over it. All right, so this is what the finished product looks like here. We got the rubberizer over the seam sealer and the weld, and it's pretty good on here. Honestly, I did a pretty all right job with what we started with. And this stuff, sorry for the motion sickness, it's not going anywhere. It started off kind of soft, really soft while it was drying, and I thought it wasn't going to do very much. And with that, I was worried that it was just gonna like flake off, but it took a couple days to dry and get actually pretty hard. And see here on the side, I just kind of rubbed it on with my fingers. It's too small to spray, but and here's the worst weld. But hey, we got it all on. It's dry, it's hard, and it does not appear to have any leaks. And it's gonna do a good job. You know, it looks kind of shitty, but we got something real pretty to put over it, and we're never gonna see it again soon. So
see, we got that done. So I mean, it was stressful. We put a lot of practice into this, and we still didn't do a professional job, but we did good enough to make it work, and I am happy with the results. It should be fully waterproof, and it's all sealed up and ready to go. So the next thing on the agenda is just getting our panels painted and find some wheels to put on the car, and we should be ready to go after that. So unfortunately, when doing the time lapse for the weld, I used my DSLR camera trying to record that, thinking it'd be better. So I'm trying to use that more, get a little higher quality. But for the time lapse, it took 500 individual photos instead of condensing them to like a short video, and none of the photos were good except for the one I included. So I just used a ton of space for a bunch of junk photos, and unfortunately missed that part, but you wouldn't want to learn to weld from me anyway. You would just see an amateur doing barely enough to get it to work, but it is doable. Overall, I'm glad I decided to weld it myself instead of paying someone. I taught myself a new skill along the way, and I'm not perfect at it, but I'm gonna use that around the house. I'm gonna weld some other things, and it'll be pretty fun. And everything else I weld from now on out will be probably a lot less stressful and thicker metal, so it'll be all right. Thanks for coming to the video. I appreciate you guys waiting so long. It's been a little bit between uploads. I'm in school right now, it's pretty busy, but this car should be on the road and ready to roll soon. We're in the last few stages here. We just need the wheels and to paint the pieces, and I'm looking forward to it. So it's been a long time coming trying to get this car on the road. So thanks for coming to the video today. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you guys soon.